People think dreams disappear because the mind forgets them. They're wrong. Dreams don't vanish. They wait. For 7 years, I worked beneath the Somnus Institute, a research facility hidden far below the mountains where sunlight never reached. Most people believed we studied sleep disorders. Only a handful of us knew the truth. We excavated dreams. Not symbols. Not imagination. Actual places. Entire civilizations buried beneath humanity's sleeping minds. Every night, millions of people unknowingly built fragments of an endless world. Mountains formed from forgotten hopes. Oceans collected abandoned memories. Cities rose from promises never spoken aloud. When enough dreamers imagined similar places over centuries, those places became permanent. That was where my team worked. We called ourselves dream archaeologists. My name is Elias Rowan. At 28 years old, I had spent nearly 1/3 of my life searching ruins no living person remembered creating. I preferred silence over conversation, notebooks over celebrations, and ancient symbols over small talk. Colleagues often joked that I looked more comfortable with ghosts than with people. Perhaps they were right. Dreams never judged anyone. People often did. Every expedition began the same way. A reclining chair. Silver electrodes placed across my temples. Soft blue lights dimming one by one. The gentle voice of our operator echoed through hidden speakers. Dream synchronization beginning. My heartbeat slowed. Gravity disappeared. Then, I fell upward. The sensation never became familiar. My body dissolved into countless particles of pale light before gathering again beneath an endless violet sky. Wind carried glowing feathers instead of dust. Floating islands drifted silently above crystal forests. The dream archive welcomed another visitor. Even after hundreds of expeditions, wonder never faded. Each visit reminded me that reality was only one layer of existence. Ancient ruins waited near the horizon. Stone staircases climbed into clouds. Libraries floated without walls. Rivers flowed backward toward glowing waterfalls suspended in the sky. Nothing obeyed ordinary physics. Dreams had their own rules. My recorder activated automatically. Expedition 427, I whispered. Sector 9. Structural integrity stable. Golden symbols covered enormous pillars. I brushed centuries of dream sand from one carving. The markings resembled no known language. Yet, the moment my fingers touched the stone, images exploded inside my mind. Laughter. Warm sunlight. 2 hands intertwined. A smile. Someone whispered, "You'll always find me." The vision ended instantly. I stumbled backward, breathing hard. That had never happened before. Artifacts weren't supposed to contain complete memories. Only impressions. Someone had hidden an entire moment inside this ruin. "Elias!" A voice echoed behind me. I turned. A stranger stood several meters away. He wore a long charcoal expedition coat trimmed with silver thread. Unlike everyone else inside the dream archive, his figure remained perfectly solid. Most dream explorers shimmered slightly. He didn't. Dark hair brushed across his forehead. Gentle amber eyes reflected countless stars. His features were calm yet undeniably handsome, carrying quiet confidence rather than arrogance. He looked about 26. Tall, lean, graceful. There was something strangely familiar about him, as though I had spent years trying to remember his face. "I didn't expect another excavation team," I said cautiously. He tilted his head. I was about to say the same thing. His voice carried warmth that somehow made the endless ruins feel less lonely. I checked my wrist display. No additional researchers were scheduled tonight. "Which institute are you from?" He hesitated. "I don't remember." That answer should have alarmed me. Instead, it made my heart ache. He introduced himself as Noah Vale. Or at least, that was the only name he could remember. Everything else had vanished. His hometown, his family, his workplace. Even the reason he stood inside the dream archive. Blank spaces. almost as though someone had erased them deliberately. Dream amnesia wasn't unusual. This was different. His memories had been carefully removed. We decided to explore together. The ruins stretched endlessly beyond sight. Neither of us wanted to investigate alone. Conversation came surprisingly easily. Noah noticed details I overlooked. I translated symbols he couldn't read. He laughed whenever impossible creatures stole equipment from our bags. I found myself smiling far more than usual. Hours inside dreams passed differently. Time became softer, less demanding. For the first time in years, work felt almost peaceful. Eventually, we reached an enormous circular plaza. Thousands of broken statues surrounded a frozen lake that reflected constellations instead of our faces. Every statue had been carved with remarkable precision. Kings, queens, scholars, children, artists, travelers. All of them looked toward the lake. As though waiting, Noah approached the water. What are they watching? I don't know. The lake suddenly rippled. Without warning, the reflection changed. Instead of stars, I saw Noah, standing beside me, not here, somewhere else. He wore white ceremonial robes embroidered with golden patterns. My own reflection appeared beside him. Long black robes, silver crown. We weren't archaeologists. We looked like rulers. No, lovers. Noah reached toward the reflection at the exact moment I did. Our fingertips touched the lake. The vision expanded. Music echoed across marble gardens. Cherry blossoms drifted through warm spring air. We stood face to face beneath an ancient tree. He smiled. Then, he gently kissed my forehead. Promise. Tender, protective, filled with quiet devotion. The vision dissolved before either of us could understand it. Neither of us spoke. Silence settled between us. Not awkward, only overwhelmed. Finally, Noah laughed nervously. So, did we just witness ourselves? I think we did. His cheeks turned slightly pink. I've never kissed someone in a dream before. It wasn't exactly us. No, he smiled softly. But somehow, it felt real. My heartbeat answered before my thoughts could. It had felt real. Far too real. The deeper we traveled, the older the ruins became. Stone transformed into crystal. Crystal transformed into light. Eventually we reached enormous bronze doors. Unlike everything else nearby, these remained untouched by time. At their center stood two figures embracing. One held the moon, the other held the sun. Between them rested a single sentence. I recognized every symbol, yet translating them made my stomach tighten. The lovers who awaken together will remember every lifetime. Noah read the inscription over my shoulder. Every lifetime. Neither of us finished the thought. The doors opened by themselves. Futuristic cities. Floating civilizations. Endless deserts. Snow-covered temples. Every reflection contained two people. Always together. Always smiling. Always different clothes. Different names. Different centuries. The same eyes. The same quiet affection. The same unmistakable bond. Noah stepped closer to one mirror. A single tear rolled down his cheek. I don't know why, he whispered, but I've missed you for a very long time. Something inside me broke. Before logic could interfere, I reached for his hand. His fingers intertwined naturally with mine. Neither of us questioned it. Felt less like meeting someone new, and more like finding someone I had been searching for across countless forgotten dreams. Our eyes met. The silence carried no uncertainty, only recognition. I leaned forward slowly, giving him every chance to step away. He didn't. Instead, Noah closed the remaining distance. Our lips met in a gentle, tentative kiss, brief, warm, and filled with the strange certainty that this was not the first time, but the latest chapter of a story neither of us yet remembered. When we finally pulled apart, the mirrors erupted with golden light. Every reflection smiled. Then every mirror shattered at once. A deep voice echoed through the endless archive. The cycle has begun again. The ground trembled violently. Ancient ruins crumbled around us. Somewhere beyond the collapsing corridor, something immense awakened. Two brilliant crimson eyes slowly opened in the darkness. The crimson eyes did not blink. They watched, not with anger, not with hunger, with recognition. The shattered mirrors continued falling around Noah and me, but before a single fragment could touch the ground, every piece dissolved into silver feathers. Time itself seemed to hesitate, as though the dream archive refused to let its oldest secret be destroyed. A voice whispered from every direction, "Run before it remembers your names." The floor cracked beneath our feet. Without thinking, I grabbed Noah's hand. "Move!" We sprinted through the collapsing corridor while enormous pillars crashed behind us. Dust never rose in the dream archive. Instead, broken stone transformed into glowing butterflies that scattered into the violet sky. The place wasn't dying. It was changing. A bridge of light appeared where moments before there had been only empty space. Neither of us questioned it. Dreams rarely explain themselves. We crossed the bridge as the massive creature emerged from the darkness. Its body resembled an enormous stag carved from moonlight, with antlers woven from constellations. Between its antlers floated dozens of ancient clocks whose hands turned backward. The crimson eyes belonged to something beautiful rather than monstrous. It lowered its head toward us. "You returned." The words echoed directly inside my mind. Noah tightened his grip on my hand. "Do you know us? I have watched your endings longer than mountains have watched the sea." Its answer only deepened the mystery. Before I could ask another question, the creature slowly dissolved into thousands of glowing stars, leaving behind a single silver key. The key floated into my palm. A symbol appeared across its surface. Two intertwined circles. The same emblem carved onto the bronze doors. When I opened my eyes, I was back inside the Somnus Institute. The synchronization helmet lifted automatically. Cold air rushed into my lungs. Medical monitors beeped wildly around me. Dr. Mirachen hurried toward my station. "Elias!" Her normally calm expression had vanished. "You were connected for nearly 11 hours. I frowned. "That's impossible. You've never remained synchronized that long." I sat upright. "Noah." She looked confused. "Who?" "The other archaeologist. There wasn't another explorer linked tonight." My heartbeat slowed. "No. He was there." She gently placed a hand on my shoulder. "Elias." Every scanner showed only one consciousness inside the archive. That couldn't be true. I had held Noah's hand. I had heard him laugh. I could still remember the warmth of his fingers. Dreams weren't supposed to leave physical memories. Yet mine had. For the next several days, I searched every employee record. Noah Vale. Nothing. National databases. Nothing. Research organizations. Nothing. Even historical census archives revealed no trace of anyone by that name matching his age. It was as though reality itself denied he had ever existed. Still, every evening, I found myself staring at the silver key resting on my desk. I hadn't brought anything back from the dream archive before. Physical objects weren't supposed to cross the boundary. Yet there it was. This time I entered alone. Or so everyone believed. The familiar sensation of falling upward surrounded me. When my feet touched solid ground, I immediately recognized the location. The mirror corridor had vanished. In its place stood an enormous city built entirely from luminous glass. Buildings floated above canals filled with liquid starlight. Trees carried crystal leaves that chimed softly in the breeze. People walked peacefully through the streets. None acknowledged my presence. Their echoes. Noah's voice came from behind me. I spun around. He smiled, wearing a dark navy coat embroidered with silver stars. "You came back. I was afraid you wouldn't. I tried finding you." "So did I." For several heartbeats, neither of us moved. The distance between us suddenly felt much larger than a few steps. Finally, Noah crossed it. Without saying anything, he wrapped his arms around me. I returned the embrace instinctively. It felt astonishingly natural, as if my heart had remembered a rhythm my mind had forgotten. "I'm glad you're real," I murmured. He rested his forehead against mine. "So am I." We wandered through the silent city together. The echoes ignored us completely. Merchants sold glowing fruit. Children chased birds made of folded paper. Musicians played instruments whose melodies shimmered visibly through the air. Everything looked alive. Nothing truly was. "This place feels familiar." "It should." I looked at Noah. "What do you mean?" He pointed toward the central palace. "I dreamed about this city before meeting you." My chest tightened. So did I. Neither of us had ever told another person. Inside the palace stood an enormous circular chamber. Hundreds of floating paintings rotated slowly through the air. Each one depicted two people. The same two people. Only different lives. One painting showed us as scholars translating glowing manuscripts beneath a desert sky. Another portrayed us as sailors navigating an endless sea illuminated by whales made of light. Elsewhere we appeared as knights, musicians, healers, astronomers, and travelers crossing frozen mountains. Thousands of lives. Thousands of beginnings. Every painting ended the same way. One disappeared. The other searched. At the center of the chamber rested a stone pedestal. Upon it lay an ancient book. Its cover opened by itself. Blank pages filled with glowing ink as soon as I touched them. The first sentence appeared. Lifetime 112. The page shifted. Images emerged. Noah and I stood beneath towering cedar trees wearing ceremonial robes. Our hands were joined before a gathering of smiling villagers. A wedding. No words were necessary. Joy radiated from every face. The scene changed. Smoke, fire, falling buildings. Someone forced us apart. The page burned black. The next chapter appeared immediately. Lifetime 113. Another beginning. Another love. Another separation. Again. And again. And again. Every lifetime followed the same cruel pattern. We always found each other. We always lost each other. Noah quietly closed the book. "I don't think we're discovering history." "What are we discovering?" He looked into my eyes. "Our own." The realization settled over me like snowfall. The dream archive wasn't simply preserving civilizations. It had been preserving us. Every promise, every farewell, every reunion, every heartbreak. Across centuries no waking mind could remember. As we left the chamber, rain began falling. Not water. Tiny glowing petals drifted from the sky, covering the streets in silver and gold. The city became impossibly beautiful. Noah laughed as one petal landed on my nose. "You look ridiculous." "I do not." "You absolutely do." I flicked another petal toward him. It landed in his hair. He tried brushing it away only to make it worse. Soon we were laughing like children beneath a sky made of memories. For a little while, the weight of forgotten lifetimes disappeared. There was only the sound of shared laughter. We reached a quiet garden overlooking the city. A lake reflected two moons instead of one. Stone lanterns floated gently above the water. Noah sat beside me on the grass. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Were you lonely before all this?" The question caught me off guard. I stared across the lake. I buried myself in work because it was easier than admitting I felt incomplete. He smiled faintly. "I always had the same feeling." He turned toward me, as if someone important was missing. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I reached for his hand once more. This time, our fingers fit together effortlessly. "I don't feel that emptiness when I'm with you." His amber eyes softened. "I don't either." He leaned in slowly. There was no rush, no uncertainty, only quiet understanding. Our lips met in a lingering, tender kiss beneath the silver petals. When we finally parted, we rested our foreheads together, smiling as the dream garden glowed around us. The peaceful moment ended with a sudden tremor. Every lantern extinguished at once. The lake turned black. The echoes throughout the city froze. Then they all looked toward us simultaneously. Thousands of silent faces. One shared expression. Fear. The silver key in my pocket became unbearably hot. It rose into the air on its own. A hidden doorway opened beneath the lake. Ancient stairs descended into darkness. From below came the same whisper we had heard before. Only this time it spoke our names. Elias. Noah. Then a third name echoed from the depths. A name neither of us recognized. Yet hearing it filled us both with grief so profound that tears formed before we understood why. The unseen voice spoke one final sentence. If you wish to remember your first lifetime, prepare to lose your last. The darkness below stirred. Something or someone was waiting for us. The voice faded into silence. Noah and I stood at the edge of the newly opened staircase while the city behind us remained frozen in time. Thousands of dream echoes stared without blinking, their faces filled with sorrow, as if they already knew the price waiting below. The silver key hovered above my palm. Its surface glowed brighter with every heartbeat. Noah looked toward the endless descent. We've come too far to turn back. I nodded. If our answers are down there, then that's where we go. Together, we stepped into the darkness. The staircase spiraled downward for what felt like hours. The deeper we traveled, the quieter everything became. No wind, no footsteps, no echo. Even our breathing seemed swallowed by the darkness. Gradually, tiny stars appeared beneath our feet. Not above us, below us. We realized we weren't walking through a tunnel. We were descending inside an enormous sleeping sky. Constellations drifted beneath transparent crystal steps, while rivers of silver memories flowed in the distance like glowing veins across an endless night. This place, Noah whispered, is older than the archive. I couldn't explain why I agreed. Some truths simply felt undeniable. At the bottom waited an immense library. The shelves stretched farther than sight. Instead of books, each shelf held glass spheres filled with moving memories. Millions of them. Every sphere glowed with a different color. Some radiated joy. Others shimmered with grief. Many pulsed gently like living hearts. Above the entrance, ancient letters slowly rearranged themselves into words I could understand. The vault of first dreams. A chill ran through me. This is where memories are born. As we entered, the silver key flew from my hand and unlocked a circular chamber hidden deep within the library. The doors opened soundlessly. Inside stood a single figure. He wore flowing robes woven from midnight blue light. Long silver hair rested against his shoulders. His face appeared young, yet his eyes carried countless centuries. He wasn't threatening. He looked exhausted, as though he had spent ages carrying a burden no one else could see. He smiled sadly. You found me. Noah instinctively stepped in front of me. Who are you? The stranger bowed his head. My name has changed with every age. He looked directly at us. But once, you called me Orion. The unfamiliar name struck both of us like a forgotten melody. Pain flashed through Noah's eyes. I know that name. So do I. Yet neither of us remembered why. Orion slowly raised his hand. 3 glowing memories floated into the air. The first showed Noah and me laughing beneath golden autumn trees. The second revealed us sailing across a sea beneath 3 moons. The third ended with us embracing as an entire city vanished beneath white light. Every memory ended differently. One thing never changed. Orion always stood nearby, watching, protecting, mourning. You followed us through every lifetime. He nodded. I promised I would. Why? His expression darkened. Because I failed you once. The chamber trembled. Suddenly, every glowing sphere inside the library began flickering. One after another, they went dark. An icy wind swept through the shelves. Then laughter echoed across the vault. Cold, beautiful, empty. A shadow emerged between the rows of memories. Not a monster. Person. Tall, elegant, dressed in flowing black robes stitched with threads of disappearing stars. His pale face carried no emotion. His eyes reflected nothing at all. Every step he took caused nearby memory spheres to crack into dust. Orion whispered one word. "No." The stranger smiled. "You still remember me." He looked at Noah and then at me. "So, the two dreamers have reunited again." Noah tightened his fists. "Who are you?" The man inclined his head politely. "I've had many names." He paused. "But history remembers me as the memory thief." The title alone made the entire library shudder. He walked slowly between us. "I don't steal memories because I enjoy cruelty." He gently touched a glowing sphere. It dissolved instantly. "I steal them because love never learns." His voice remained calm. "Every lifetime, you find each other. Every lifetime, you choose each other. Every lifetime, the world breaks." I stared at him. "What are you talking about?" He looked genuinely sympathetic. "The love between your souls is stronger than the laws that separate dreams from reality." He raised his hand. "When you remain together too long, the barrier weakens." Visions exploded around us. Cities disappearing. Mountains collapsing into oceans. Dreams flooding reality. Entire civilizations erased overnight. People awakening with memories belonging to strangers. Children remembering futures that never happened. The world unraveling. The archive resets history. The memory thief continued. "And I erase your memories." He closed his eyes. "It is the only way to save both worlds." Noah stepped forward. "So every time we fall in love, you separate us." "I have no choice." His answer sounded sincere. That somehow made it worse. Before anyone could move, countless black ribbons burst from the darkness. They wrapped around Noah. "Noah!" I lunged toward him. The ribbons seized my arms before I could reach him. The memory thief approached calmly. "I dislike this part." He placed 2 fingers against Noah's forehead. Golden light poured from Noah's eyes. His memories, one after another, floating away. "No!" I struggled desperately. Orion summoned brilliant blue chains that shattered several ribbons. "Run!" Orion shouted. "He cannot erase both of you if you stay apart." The chamber erupted into chaos. I broke free and reached Noah just as another wave of ribbons surrounded us. His eyes were unfocused. "Elias!" He sounded frightened. "I can't remember." His voice trembled. "Where we met." Panic gripped my chest. He was already forgetting. I cupped his face with both hands. "Listen to me." His gaze searched mine desperately. "You are Noah." A tear rolled down his cheek. "And you," I smiled despite the fear, "are the person I will always find." For a heartbeat, clarity returned to his eyes. The memory thief raised his hand again. "This is your final chance. Forget each other. Wake up. Live peaceful lives." His voice echoed through the collapsing library. "Or remember everything and destroy the boundary forever." Noah slowly turned toward me. His memories continued fading. He could barely remember my name. Yet, he smiled. A small, gentle, beautiful smile. "I don't know," he whispered, "why my heart keeps choosing you." My own tears finally fell. "You don't have to remember." I pulled him into my arms. "You only have to listen to your heart." He closed the last bit of distance between us. Our lips met in a heartfelt kiss, not born from memory, but from the feelings that had survived even as memories slipped away. The world around us faded until only the warmth of that shared moment remained. Golden light burst outward. Every shattered memory sphere began glowing again. The library shook violently. The memory thief took a single step backward. For the first time, fear appeared on his face. The silver key transformed into a radiant sword of crystal light. Ancient symbols ignited across the walls. Orion stared upward in disbelief. "It cannot be." The ceiling dissolved. Above us, countless stars aligned into one enormous constellation. A gate, the first dream gate. Slowly, a young man with Elias's eyes, another with Noah's smile. They wore simple white robes, their hands gently entwined. The very first versions of us. The first dreamers. They looked down at us with quiet hope. Then they spoke together. Come home. The gate opened wider. A forgotten truth waited beyond its light. The gate continued to open. Its light wasn't blinding. It was comforting. Warm enough to chase away every fear I had carried through countless lifetimes. The library disappeared behind a veil of silver mist. The memory thief, Orion, Noah, and I stood before an entrance that seemed older than time itself. Beyond it stretched a world unlike any dream I had ever explored. There were no floating islands, no impossible cities, no distorted skies. Instead, rolling green hills shimmered beneath a sunrise that never reached noon. Crystal rivers wound through forests where every leaf glowed with a gentle golden hue. Birds with translucent wings sang melodies that stirred forgotten emotions deep within my heart. Felt like home. Not because I recognized it, because my soul did. The two young men waiting beyond the gate smiled warmly. One stepped toward me. His dark hair moved gently in the breeze. His steel blue eyes mirrored my own. He looked no older than 25. The other walked to Noah. His amber eyes shone with quiet kindness. When they reached us, neither spoke immediately. Instead, they placed a hand over our hearts. A pulse of warmth spread through my entire body. Fragments of memories rushed back. Not complete memories, just feelings. Joy, comfort, laughter, love. Thousands of moments connected by one constant presence. Noah, you are. I struggled to find words. The young man smiled. We are your beginning. His companion nodded. The first dreamers. Long before humanity built kingdoms, long before people gave names to stars, there had been a peaceful civilization known as Asteria. It existed between dreams and waking life. Its people protected the balance separating imagination from reality. Among them were two young guardians. One studied memories, the other protected dreams. They fell in love. Their bond grew stronger than anyone believed possible. The strength of that love became a bridge connecting both worlds. At first, it brought miracles. Artists awoke inspired. Scientists discovered impossible ideas. Children dreamed of futures that later became reality. The worlds flourished together. Until someone desired that power. The first dreamer looked toward the distant mountains. A shadow appeared across the peaceful valley. The Keeper of Oblivion. The title echoed through the landscape. The man you know as the memory thief. I stared in disbelief. He wasn't always our enemy? The first dreamer closed his eyes. No. He was our closest friend. The peaceful valley transformed around us. Ancient memories unfolded like living paintings. Three young guardians laughed together beneath enormous silver trees. My first self, Noah's first self, and the young man who would one day become the memory thief. His true name, Selim. He smiled more brightly than anyone else. He protected both of us. He celebrated our happiness. He believed our love would save the worlds. Until the day everything changed. A violent storm tore open the sky. Dreams spilled into reality. Reality invaded dreams. Entire continents disappeared. Thousands of lives were lost. The balance shattered. To prevent complete destruction, Selim made a terrible choice. He sacrificed his own heart. Not physically, emotionally. He sealed away every joyful memory he possessed. Every friendship. Every hope. Every feeling. The price transformed him into something incapable of love. The Keeper of Oblivion. The memory thief. He remained behind to guard the fragile boundary while Noah and I were reborn again and again. Searching. Finding. Losing. Repeating the cycle. The vision faded. Silence settled over the valley. Noah quietly wiped tears from his face. He was trying to save us. The first dreamer nodded. He believed forgetting each other was kinder than watching the universe collapse. A gentle breeze carried glowing petals across the hills. I suddenly understood why the memory thief always looked sorrowful. He remembered everything. Every farewell. Every promise. Every lifetime we had forgotten. He carried the pain alone. For thousands of years. Orion appeared beside us. He bowed his head before the first dreamers. I failed all three of you. The first dreamer placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. No, you stayed. That is why hope survived. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Golden clouds turned crimson. The peaceful valley shook violently. Cracks spread across the horizon. The first dreamer looked upward. It has begun. Far away, the first dream gate started collapsing. Silver light poured through widening fractures. Reality had found the entrance. Buildings, roads, cars, people. Entire cities briefly appeared through the cracks before vanishing again. Dreams and reality were beginning to overlap. The barrier could no longer contain them. A familiar figure walked through the crimson light. Selim, no longer hiding beneath shadows. His silver hair flowed behind him. His expression remained calm, yet his eyes revealed exhaustion beyond imagination. He stopped several steps away. I warned you. His voice carried neither anger nor triumph, only sadness. The worlds are merging. Noah stepped forward. We know the truth now. Selim nodded. Then you understand what must happen. I already knew his answer. We have to forget. Yes. If you release your love, the worlds survive. Noah looked toward me, then back at Selim. And if we refuse? The keeper closed his eyes. The boundary will disappear. The wind fell silent. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, I walked toward Selim. He looked surprised. I stopped only a few feet away. You've carried this burden alone for thousands of years. He remained silent. You believed sacrificing yourself would save everyone. Still silent. But no one ever tried saving you. For the first time in countless centuries, his composure cracked. A single tear escaped his eye. I no longer know how to be saved. Without hesitation, I embraced him. He froze completely, as though no one had touched him with kindness for ages. Slowly, very slowly, his trembling hands returned the embrace. Noah stepped beside us and gently placed a hand on Selim's shoulder. We don't blame you. The words broke something inside him. Years of loneliness poured out in silent tears. The valley responded. Flowers bloomed across the hills. The crimson sky softened. For one brief moment, the balance stabilized. The first dreamers smiled. Compassion was always the missing key. Selim stepped back, his expression gentler than before. There may still be another way. He raised his hand. A final memory appeared. Unlike all the others, this one had never been opened. A sealed crystal rested at its center. This contains the original promise. If it is broken, the cycle ends. If it is fulfilled, the worlds may finally become one without destroying each other. The crystal floated toward Noah. It responded only to his touch. As his fingers brushed its surface, ancient golden words slowly appeared. They were incomplete. Half the promise belonged to him. The other half belonged to me. Only together could we reveal its meaning. Noah looked into my eyes. Neither of us hesitated. We placed our hands upon the crystal together. A brilliant light erupted across the valley. Every lifetime, every memory, every dream, every promise, rushed back toward us like an endless ocean. Overwhelmed by the flood of forgotten lives, Noah instinctively reached for me. I held him close, and beneath the radiant sky we shared a quiet, reassuring kiss. Not out of desperation, but as a promise that whatever truth awaited us, we would face it together. The crystal cracked. A voice older than the universe whispered through the light. The final awakening begins. The first dream gate disappeared. The world around us dissolved into brilliant white. When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer dreaming. Neither was Noah. And standing before us in the waking world was someone who had been dead for thousands of years. The first thing I noticed was the sound. Not alarms. Not machines. Birds. Real birds. For several seconds, I simply lay still, listening to their songs echo through an open window. I slowly opened my eyes. Sunlight spilled across the floor of the Somnus Institute. Except, it wasn't the Somnus Institute anymore. The walls of the laboratory were covered with flowering vines. Crystal flowers grew naturally from the steel framework, and glowing butterflies drifted through the corridors without setting off a single security alarm. Reality had changed. Not violently, beautifully. I sat up. Across the room, Noah opened his eyes at the exact same moment. For a heartbeat, neither of us spoke. Then we smiled. Not because we had remembered one another, because we had remembered everything. Every lifetime, every farewell, every reunion, the scholar beneath the cedar trees, the sailors crossing the silver sea, the musicians who filled forgotten kingdoms with songs, the healers who stayed together through endless winters, the explorers who died holding hands beneath distant stars, the rulers beneath the cherry blossoms. Hundreds, thousands. Every life was now part of us. And somehow, instead of feeling overwhelmed, we felt whole. Noah crossed the room. He stopped in front of me. So, his eyes sparkled with gentle amusement. Which lifetime was your favorite? I laughed. Definitely not the one where you tried to cook. He covered his face dramatically. I knew you'd remember that. You nearly burned down an entire palace. It was one kitchen. It was attached to the palace. We both burst into laughter. For the first time in countless centuries, our laughter wasn't followed by goodbye. The laboratory doors slid open. Dr. Mira-chun entered carrying several reports. She froze the moment she saw us. You too. She blinked repeatedly. I know both of you. Her confusion deepened. I've always known both of you. She looked around the room. So why does it suddenly feel like I've remembered an entire second life? Outside the laboratory, dozens of researchers stood motionless. Some smiled. Others quietly cried. Many embraced family members. Everyone was remembering forgotten dreams. Children recognized stories their grandparents had never told. Artists suddenly understood the inspiration behind unfinished masterpieces. Scientists completed equations they had abandoned years earlier. Musicians began humming melodies they had only heard while asleep. Dreams were no longer disappearing with dawn. They had become part of waking life. Outside the institute, the world had transformed. News broadcasts appeared on enormous city screens. Reporters spoke excitedly. Across every continent, people described identical experiences. Ancient languages once believed extinct could suddenly be read. Lost cities appeared beneath forests and deserts, not as ruins, but as places everyone somehow recognized. Painful memories returned alongside joyful ones, yet people no longer faced them alone. Communities gathered to share stories, realizing that compassion made even sorrow easier to bear. Humanity hadn't been divided into strangers. It had always been one enormous collection of shared dreams. Noah and I climbed the hill overlooking the institute. The morning breeze carried the scent of wildflowers. The sky looked clearer than I had ever seen. Near the summit stood two familiar figures, Orion and Selim. Neither wore ceremonial robes anymore. Simple traveling clothes replaced centuries of duty. Selim looked younger somehow, lighter, as though an impossible weight had finally lifted from his shoulders. You fulfilled the original promise, Orion said. I looked toward him. What exactly was the promise? Selim answered quietly. It was never about choosing love over the world. He smiled for the first time without sadness. It was about teaching the world how to love. I frowned. I don't understand. He looked across the horizon where thousands of people laughed together below. The barrier existed because humanity feared its own memories. When people learned to accept both joy and grief, the boundary was no longer necessary. The original promise hadn't demanded sacrifice. It had required trust. The first dreamers had believed that one day humanity would become emotionally strong enough to remember everything without destroying itself. That day had finally arrived. The silver key appeared once more. Only now it looked different. Instead of unlocking doors, it dissolved into countless rays of golden light. Each beam drifted into the sky before scattering across the planet. The dream archive wasn't being destroyed. It was becoming part of the world. No longer hidden, no longer forgotten. Every dream would continue inspiring artists, inventors, healers, writers, and explorers. But now people would awaken remembering the hope those dreams carried. Orion smiled warmly. "My work is finished." "So is mine," Selim added. Their bodies slowly began glowing. "Are you leaving?" Noah asked softly. Selim nodded. "We were never meant to live forever." He looked at us. "You no longer need guardians." Before fading completely, Orion embraced both of us. "Thank you for proving that kindness can heal what fear never could." Selim hesitated for only a moment. Then he stepped forward and gently placed a hand over both our hearts. "I spent thousands of years protecting your memories." His voice was calm. "I'm glad you can protect them yourselves now." Golden light surrounded them. Within moments, they became two brilliant stars that rose peacefully into the morning sky. Months passed. The Somnus Institute became something entirely new. No longer a secret laboratory. It became the Academy of Shared Dreams, where people from every nation gathered to study memories, imagination, creativity, and emotional healing. Children visited to explore dream gardens. Scientists worked alongside poets. Historians collaborated with artists. The discoveries made there changed the world, not through impossible technology, but through deeper understanding of one another. Noah and I continued our work together, not as archaeologists searching for forgotten civilizations, as storytellers preserving the dreams that connected humanity. Every evening, after our lectures and research, we walked through the Institute's blooming gardens. There was one cherry tree we visited almost every sunset. It reminded us of our very first remembered vision. One quiet evening, Noah stopped beneath its branches. Pink petals drifted around us. He reached into his pocket. Instead of a ring, he held a small silver pendant shaped like two intertwined circles, the same symbol that had once appeared on the impossible key. "I've asked you this in hundreds of lifetimes," he said with a gentle smile. "But this is the first time we'll both remember the answer forever." He took my hand. "Elias Rowan, will you spend this lifetime and every ordinary tomorrow that follows with me?" Emotion caught in my throat. After thousands of extraordinary lives, it was the promise of an ordinary future that moved me most. I smiled through happy tears. "I thought you'd never ask." I slipped the pendant around my neck before pulling him into a warm embrace. Beneath the flowering cherry tree, with golden evening light surrounding us, we shared a long, tender kiss, no longer fearing forgotten tomorrows or endless separations. It was simply two people, finally free to love without the weight of destiny. As we drew apart, a gentle breeze carried cherry blossoms into the sky. For an instant, they formed the shapes of Orion and Selim, smiling before dissolving into starlight. I looked upward. The stars no longer felt distant. They felt like old friends. People once believed dreams vanished when morning arrived. Now I know the truth. Dreams never disappear. They become the courage to create. They become the kindness we offer strangers. They become the hope that survives even after heartbreak. Most of all, they become the invisible thread that leads two souls back to each other, no matter how many lifetimes pass. And this time,